Good day, subscribers. Thank you so much for joining me today. I am Jeremy. This is the Financial Education Channel, and today we're talking about, should I fire Woodman? Should I fire Gopro CEO Nick Woodman? Now, so we're assuming that I was the controlling shareholder of Gopro, and we're going to kind of take things into account and say, if I was in charge, if I had all controlling rights on Gopro, would I fire him right now? Or would I fire him very soon, or anything like that? So we're going to discuss that, and we're going to kind of go through the good things he's done and the bad things and look at all those together. And I think this video is really important because if you ever plan on being a manager, if you ever plan on being a business owner and having employees work under you, if you ever plan on being an investor in a stock, you're going to have to make decisions on who gets hired and who gets fired. Whether you're a manager, whether you're a business owner, you have to decide if somebody's not cutting the slack, cutting the cheese, or whatever you want to, use the expression for. Should you fire them? Should you fire them? And how do you take things into account, the good versus the bad? If you're an investor in a company, every single year, you're going to get paperwork sent to you, either electronically or physically, however you get it sent to you. You're going to have to vote on who is the next, board of directors. Does this person get voted in? Does this person get, out the door? All those kinds of things, guys. So it's very important to know if you're going to fire people or hire people and those kinds of things. So we're looking at Nick Woodman today. This is my biggest investment. This is an investment that I need to get back to at least $11.50 just to break even on. And that's after lowering my cost basis 3 separate times. I'm down over 20% right now, after lowering cost basis 3 times. So it's not like I just made an initial investment down over 20%. To go down in cost basis 3 separate times and still be down that much, that is why he's on the hot seat with me, and we're going to kind of discuss this here. So first off, we got to discuss the good he's done, right? Well, we'll kind of discuss that throughout, but the main thing he did is he's built a multi-billion-dollar company. Now, how many people have ever built a multi-billion-dollar company? Not very many. We could fit all the people who ever built multi-billion-dollar companies probably in one apartment building. Literally, 1 3-bedroom apartment building. We could probably fit them all in there. Someone would be dead, unfortunately, where they would just be skeletons. But we could fit everybody who has ever built a multi-billion-dollar company from the ground up and fit them all in probably a 3-bedroom apartment, guys. That is realistic. That's how few people have ever done that. So before we even get into this, we gotta just give credit where credit's due. That is absolutely amazing to be accomplished a feat like that from nothing to a multi-billion-dollar valuation. Mind-blowing, absolutely amazing. So let's get into this. So the first big mistake as a public company GoPro made, and Woodman being responsible, he's a CEO, was the Hero 4 Session launch. It wasn't that the Hero 4 Session product was a bad product or anything. They made 2 big mistakes, and management acknowledged this. One was they priced Hero 4 Session, and this is before I was actually an investor in GoPro, but I still followed the company at that time. It was a $60 stock at that time, by the way. So Hero 4 Session, they admit to pricing it too high. They priced it at $399, which was the same price they had for the Hero 4 Silver at that time. Almost every tech reviewer out there said the photo quality and video quality was not as good on the Session as the Hero 4 Silver. So you're basically pricing a product the same price as a product that's actually superior in most people's mind. And the Hero 4 Silver had an LCD touch display on the back of the camera, which the Hero 4 Session did not have. Another big feature. So people kind of looked at that product at $399 when it came out and like, why do I want to get that when I could get a Hero 4 Silver with an actual display on it and has a little better quality than get a Hero 4 Session that's actually a downgrade for the same price? So Hero 4 sales were really bad. They expected them to be really good, and they filled the channels up, and they sent so many cameras out, and they did not sell well. The second mistake they made is they did not market it heavy enough. They've admitted to this. They did not market that product nearly what they should have. They thought they could just be successful because the name, the brand name, and some of those kinds of things, and count on that. Therefore, sales were not strong for the Hero 4 Session. They had to lower the price to $299 and then finally lower it to the price it's at now, which is $199. Very painful process to GoPro, and that camera alone hurt its stock value a ton. And then they had the channel so filled with those cameras that the next couple quarters, they didn't even move any more, they didn't have more sales into the Best Buys and the Targets and the Walmarts because they filled the channel so heavily thinking it was going to be some kind of great product, which it was not. So that's mistake numero uno. Mistake number two is then came the Christmas quarter, right? We went into the fall time now. That Hero 4 session launch that happened in July, it was right around July 4th weekend. Then they went into the Christmas quarter, and a lot of people were expecting, some kind of new camera, from GoPro to be the wow camera. They only released like lower end cameras, like really crappy cameras that didn't have any better specs. They were just really cheap, like $199 camera, $299 camera and whatnot. They didn't release anything that was better than the Hero 4 Silver or the Hero 4 Black. So they didn't release a flagship camera for the Christmas quarter that year, which was 2015. In the electronics industry, if you're not releasing a flagship product almost every year, you kind of get forgotten about. That's just the way it is. Imagine if Apple didn't come out with a new iPhone next year. Imagine if Samsung didn't come out with a new S7 or S8 or whatever they're going to be on next year. Imagine how much that would hurt their business. That's exactly what GoPro did. They did not release a new flagship product for the Christmas quarter, and it was a huge mistake. Because although Hero 4 Silver's, still sold pretty good and whatnot, it was not that, so many people had already had the Hero 4 Silver who wanted it because it had been on sale for a year at that point. So you were basically just trying to get new customers or customers that maybe had broken a Hero 4 Silver or something to buy that product. So it was another huge mistake, and that hurt sales numbers for basically all of 2016. Then, the Karma drone, that was supposed to be launched in the first half of 2016. That was what GoPro had said, first half of 2016, we're going to launch the Karma drone. Well, the first quarter came and went. They never launched it. They announced that they were going to launch it in the second half of 2016. That killed the stock price more. This was another huge blunder on their part. You say you're going to announce, you're going to release the product in the first quarter of 2016, and then you don't release it till the second quarter of 2016. What are you doing? So this is another big mistake. So now we've already had 3 big mistakes here, guys. 3 big mistakes in a very short amount of time. Then we had Hero 5 Black came out. Really good product. They really did a great job. They released at the right price point, in my opinion. They did a lot of things great. I think sales will be strong the full year. We'll get to see all this. Good job, GoPro. What did they do? They screwed up production. They did not have nearly enough camera units the first month it was released, which was October, that they should have. Supply was so limited that they couldn't really get it out there the way they needed to get it out there. And once again, this goes back to some supply chain management type things that really, at the end of the day, it falls on someone else's shoulders, but also falls on Woodman's, because Woodman's the one who decides who's in charge of supply chain management. So big mistake there. 4th mistake. Then we had the Karma recall, situation. The Karma drone recall. This was a huge thing for the stock because the stock had been climbing at that point. Stock was up to, it went from about $8 to about $16 in a matter of about 4 or 5 months. It had really been climbing. It had really been doing good. The recall happened, and like that, the stock just got killed. This was a huge mistake to have your first product ever in the space. And at that time, the Karma was very highly respected by, most of the reviewers and whatnot. Also, Hero 4 or the Karma drone, it was being talked about in the same sentence as DJI, which is amazing considering DJI is the main drone company in the world. So if you can even be mentioned in the same sentence, even if you're not as good, if you can be mentioned in the same sentence, that is like a win-win. And then to get recalled, it just kind of like kills momentum because you had huge, strong momentum. You could have just blasted numbers in Q4, but because of the recall, you got set back completely. And you had a 5th thing now that people are in people's mind, like, how many mistakes can you possibly make? Then Karma Grip. Karma Grip is a $299 device. That should have been out as soon as basically Hero 4, or excuse me, as soon as the Karma drone got recalled. Karma Grip should have been in every store possible. And what happened? They didn't finally get that product released as a standalone device sold until December 1st, when most people's Christmas shopping's already over, and it finally didn't really begin to really get out there until January, which is completely after the Christmas quarter. So until recently, really. So you missed out on basically most of the Christmas shopping season for a device that, yeah, probably wouldn't have changed numbers drastically, but you could have gotten 10, 20, 30 extra $1 million in revenue from this product because it was released in the Christmas quarter. So another big mistake there. Now, obviously, what does all this add up to? The stock price basically went from being a $60 stock in July of 2015 to now being a $9 stock. We are looking at a stock that's just been a disaster, an absolute disaster over that time when the mistakes kind of started happening and they went from one to another to another. Now, one last good thing, Woodman's really done well. He's fought off all the competitors just amazingly. If building a multi-billion dollar company, that's a lot. But when you can fight off all these different competitors, that's an amazing feat. And he has done that, and the company has done that. So he needs to get definitely a lot of credit for that, because they have these Chinese knockoff companies that are trying to create GoPro clones. They've been doing it for years now, fighting off those guys. And then you're fighting off huge companies like Garmin, like Sony. A lot of these companies try to create their own action cams and basically have failed because GoPro's been so strong and they fought them off so well. That's amazing when you can fight off other multi-billion dollar companies, some companies even bigger than you are, and you can fight them off and say, you know what, you're not going to get in our space, you're not going to be anything. And that's basically what GoPro has done. So they deserve a lot of credit for that. They're fighting off on the low end, the Chinese knockoffs, the clones of GoPro, and they're fighting off on the high end, the Sonys, the Garmins, those kind of companies. So he definitely deserves credit for that. So if I had full voting rights, would I fire Woodman? Not yet, but he's on extremely thin ice, Basically, I would absolutely fire him if GoPro even has one quarter in 2017 that's under a 20% revenue growth. If there's even one quarter under 20% revenue growth, he's gone. Now, also, I would not fire him as far as throwing him away from the company and never having anything to do with it. What I would do personally is I would make him like a creative consultant, because I think he's got a really smart mind as far as marketing goes. I think he's, obviously proven himself to build this type of company and fight off competitors and those kinds of things. The question about him is execution and executing these ideas and supply chain management and all those kinds of things. Pricing of products and whatnot. So those are the questions with him. So I don't think you can just throw away a great mind like that, because he has a brilliant mind. And there's very few people who are as talented as him as a salesperson, as a marketing person. But does GoPro need someone else to really come in there and really run the company from supply chain management to everything, and just kind of run everything so it's just everything's run better, so recalls on products don't really happen, so mispricing of a product doesn't really happen. Those kinds of things, guys, making sure there's a new flagship product every single year. So that's basically where I'm at with him. He's on thin ice. I would absolutely fire him if even one quarter this year comes in under a 20% revenue growth. And I expect more revenue growth than even that. But I'm just kind of giving a little bit of leeway. So he's on thin ice. That's where I would be at right now. Let me know what you guys think. Would you fire him right now? Would you have him on thin ice? Would you say, no, actually, even if one quarter didn't come in 20% plus revenue growth, I would still have him running the company? I would love to hear what you guys have to say on this subject, because it's an important subject. Like I said, if you're going to ever be a manager, run a company, you're ever going to be an investor in a company, you're going to have to make decisions on who gets fired and who gets hired. And looking at things like this was a perfect opportunity, because it's my biggest investment right now, to look at a guy that is really on a hot seat and really deserves to be on the hot seat because of many missteps basically in the company. So let me know in that comment section what you guys have to say. Leave this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. If you just came across here and you're not subscribed yet, you may want to. We talk personal finance on the channel. I'm an entrepreneur. I give away a lot of my business tips on this channel. This was almost kind of like an entrepreneur video, and it was also a stock market video, which is the third subject we talk about on the channel, and we talk about it more than anything. Thank you for watching, guys, and have a great, by the way, my voice is like back to 90%. Have a great day.